So hello and welcome once again to my layout, New Junction. Right, last time it was a bit of a whirlwind, wasn't it? Because we moved the layout from the garage, but today it's in the new unit, it's set up, and work has begun on the fiddle yard, not to mention a few new additions on the layout. So stick with me and we'll have a catch up and see what's been done in the last week. So if I start you down the end that you're all familiar with, the main scene as it were currently. Now I've spent a lot of time this week in the evenings actually levelling this baseboard. Top tip I learned was actually start with one, which is the tunnel mouth board, levelled that, got it to the right height I wanted, and then every other one followed suit, which is probably something which a lot of you will know, but top tip for you. I've been working a lot on the track joins as well, making sure the rails line up and things like that, because there's been a few caught edges and for some reason all of a sudden none of the rails want to join up, even though the baseboards are absolutely spot on. I have the paint now to paint the legs. I just need to get on with it. It's currently I think 3 degrees in here. My heater is yet to arrive, but it's probably why you can maybe sense a slight shiver on my voice. And as you can see in the background, the main focus of the evenings of this week has been the fiddle yard continuation, which will go at the back. But first, let's take a look at a couple of new additions. So moving on to a couple of new additions on the layout. As you can see, I've got some of the Mark 1 Suburbans from Accurascale, and what I'm particularly excited about is the 16 tonners. Now, these are perfect for the heritage line because as we can see in the footage that's playing now, the Great Central Railway, my local heritage line, has its own rake of restored wind cutters. And I think this is a worthy addition to the heritage line, pulled by a Hornby 2MT as well, so very fitting for the GCR, considering they have two MTs, two MTs, I should say. And as you can see, I've got a bit of a NEM tension lock graveyard here, because I've actually fitted the instanter couplings on the wagons, which I think is a very nice detail and something which I don't know, is a sign that I think this rake's going to become a permanent resident on the layout. Now, if I just move you to one side ever so slightly, you can see that with the tender, I've still got the traditional tension lock on the first wagon. This is so I can swap the loco without having to worry about the chains on this one. But for the rest of the rake, looks rather nice. But of course, one of the downsides to only having the layout powered from pretty much here is I can only go back and forth currently, so New Junction is a giant end-to-end layout. One question I have been asked though is how well do they push? Because pulling, particularly with the instant couplings on, is fine, but some people are a bit wary about pushing, but no, these are absolutely fine. This is currently on speed set 25. Track's still being levelled in various places, but as you can see, no problem at all. I could probably speed it up ever so slightly as well. Very nice. The sprung buffers here really earning their keep. So as you can see, some very nice additions to the fleet, and I particularly enjoyed filming the wing cutters for their launch video, and as you can see I got some pretty epic drone footage. Right, moving on to the bit I know you're all waiting for, and it's the progress on the layout build. Now, the fiddle yard is what I needed, and the fiddle yard, as we can see behind me, is what's starting to materialise. Let's go take a closer look. And swiftly moving on, as you can see, I took a trip to the local timber yard and have got myself some more plywood. I used 12mm ply and the CLS timber strips and or lengths, and I've been making a mess. I say I use the royal I, or the royal we. North has been doing a lot of it. Good old North. Now, try not to walk into everything. The first focus actually has been, I had to replace the top there on that far edge, and I've also cut down this as a temporary fix. So basically, sorry if I'm kicking you about, I'm trying to see how far I can open up the heritage line seam, because before it was cut pretty much there, just on the left hand side of the glue. You can see I've probably gained in real terms probably about 12 inches, and I'll gain again if I trim this corner off on the top level. Now I'll probably end up ending the scene on the main line here with some form of modern thing, maybe a motorway bridge or something a bit more open, so as the curve gets tighter it's covered by that piece of scenery and then sweeps into the station. But then cutting this back low on the lower level will allow the heritage line to have a real sweeping curve into the scene and hopefully provide a very nice vista. And here it is, the first of the fiddle yard boards. Now, as you can probably tell, because I've just propped this up ever so lightly, as you can see, wibbly wobbly, just to show you what it'll look like and what my sort of idea for this is. So, as I mentioned, 12mm ply on a frame of CLS. I think this is, I'm going to gauge this now, sort of 3" by 1.5 CLS timber, screwed in. The legs will be the same sort of stuff. However, they will be braced much further down, and I'll also be creating myself a second layer, which will act as a shelf to store all of my train boxes, get them out of the way, because underneath here is just wasted space. Obviously, when this is all done and dusted, levelled and butted up to the layout, the top deck will come straight across, no problem at all. But what about the heritage line? So I've brought you in for a closer look. Now, bear with me, this may be quite complicated to explain on camera, but hopefully you understand where I'm going with it. I mean, you've followed me this far through all this, so I mean, dearie me, you should be able to understand a couple of levels. So the top level, which will have the biggest fiddle yard, or requirement for the biggest and longest fiddle yard, will be up here on the 2-foot wide expanses. The fiddle yard for the heritage line doesn't need to be anywhere near this big, and I also didn't want it to be buried underneath at a sort of lower level. So what I plan to do is actually the board where the heritage line comes around on, as you might not be able to see, but there's a single piece of track currently from the garage mode. This all moves, and it'll be cut down to fit and brought this way, closer to me. So in effect, scrap piece of plywood, the heritage line will be going across a piece of plywood this high, and through sheer good luck, the base of this is exactly the right measurement to line up with this board. Believe it or not. I would say that's sheer skill, but no, it was absolutely fluky good luck. But yes, so this will be running along like this. It'll probably be a tad wider, maybe 4 inches. This piece is, 3, once it's done. And what that'll allow me to do is have a sort of open heritage line loop. So for now, it just allows me to have the trains running round. It also allows me to potentially work on something scenic a bit further down the line because it's not covered by a giant fiddle yard, and also just keeps it neat and out of the way for the time being because there's lots of work to do on the scenic side of the layout. Hopefully you're with me. Of course, the biggest advantage, as I mentioned just before, is storage, which will go underneath because certain silly sods out there have giant boxes and they need somewhere to go. So in terms of progress, as you can see, it's coming on very well. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do. This is barely standing up under its own weight, similar to myself. You can see we've got the frame done for the second one. It's actually going to take 3 of these because they're 8 foot by 2 foot. So 3 of these to bridge the gap. We've got the top drying for the second one, and we'll make the third one hopefully in an evening this week. And we may, fingers crossed, be able to bring you a full running loop very soon. Well, that's what I want anyway, because it'd be really nice to get trains running again ASAP. We spent a long time trying to make it work in the garage, so I didn't want to dilly-dally at all in this mode, because I just want to get on, as I'm sure you do, watching at home. And there we go, some food for thought from the layout. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's a bit shorter than normal, but that's because I want to keep you up to date with the progress here on the layout, because there's lots going on. Well, it feels like there's lots going on. I'm still not fully moved out of the garage yet. Behind the camera is a mountain of boxes. And it's amazing where it all comes from. I've even found some things I thought I'd long sold, so well worth having a tidy up in the depths underneath your own layouts. So as ever, I want to say a big thank you to you at home for tuning in, and you at home for giving me the comments down below, keeping me going with all your advice, your top tips and encouragement. It's all very helpful, particularly when it's like 3 degrees in here and I'm thinking, why am I here? It's midnight. It's all part of the fun. Big thank you as ever to the channel patrons and members. Hope you're enjoying all the behind the scenes content as it happens on the Patreon page. It's well worth signing up for if you'd like to. All that's left now, of course, is to, wait for North to come back another evening, and then we can crack on with more Fiddle Yard. And in the meantime, it's just for me to play trains with that part of the layout. So, thank you as ever for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.